Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of AUHSD Future Talks. I'm your host, Michael Matsuda, the Superintendent of the Anaheim Union High School District. And as our 7,000 plus podcast listeners know, this show is all about the future of education. And I can't think of a better futurist than our guest today, Dr. David Miyashiro, Superintendent, Cajon Valley School District. David, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Jay-Z. It's good to be back with you.
Yes, you are you're a national leader, an innovator. You're one of the first, your district is one of the first to be invited into the Digital Promise group. You've been advising the State Board of Education on innovation and technology. I think you run in some very high circles, especially in the AI technology world, but also the world of work as well. We're going to get into both of that and sort of where does that converge. But we always start, David, with a little bit about who you are and what your calling is.
All right. Well, right now I'm a superintendent and an amateur ice hockey player and family man. But my story is basically I started as a journalism broadcast TV major at Long Beach State and auditioning for roles that were non-Asian, received rejection after rejection until a professor said, if you want to make money, you should probably quit this major because there's never going to be Asian people on television. And in the late 80s, he was right. There's Connie Chung, that little kid in the Indiana Jones movie, and that was it. So I went and became a substitute teacher. My mom was a teacher, said just do this for a little while, and then never left the classroom. Kindergarten, middle school, high school, principal, assistant superintendent, and now here. But all along the way, first half of the career was spent chasing test scores and improving federal outcomes and watching kids be disengaged and actually teachers be disengaged with chasing test scores and teaching kids how to fill out bubble tests. It wasn't engaging, and it also wasn't changing life outcomes. So for the last 12 years, our focus has been happy kids and healthy relationships on a path to gainful employment based on conversations with our chamber, with the military, with people in public service, our local city government, and in East County, San Diego, lots of skilled labor, manufacturing, and commercial development. All these jobs that are not straight paths to college, but really straight paths to work out of high school with credentials and degrees and certifications for sure, but skills.
That's quite a journey. When you say happy kids, finding their passion on the way to the world of work or college, how do you measure that? How do you define happiness?
It's interesting, Mike. This morning, we have this thing called family teacher teams, which took the place of traditional back to school nights. And we invite families to come in the morning or the evening and bring their kids and have collaboration time and build a classroom community so that parents get to know each other. And the parents, at one point, the kids went out to recess and all the parents stood in a circle, just like their kindergartners do, with the teacher.
Wow.
We went around and we had the parents introduce themselves and then share what their hopes and dreams were for their kids. And
I love that.
Parent after parent said, I want my kid to be happy. I want them to build friendships that will last all through elementary school, but also survive through high school. I want them to build their tribe and be engaged and happy and healthy came up almost in every parent conversation. And that's really where our vision of happy and healthy came from. Gainfully employed was the last one, which is we want all kids to find a meaningful way to provide for their own family in the future. Measurement is the hard thing because traditionally we measure language arts, math, English proficiency, graduation rate. The state hasn't really done anything to measure the well-being and connectedness of our kids. So in partnership with you, actually, through our grants through the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, our focus with that grant has been measurement. And how do you measure the well-being and self-awareness and then ultimate happiness of children? How do you quantify the relationships and network they're building, not just with their peers, but with adults in the building and also the community? And then how do you measure their aspirations and hope and skill development towards the world of work? And that's what we're working on right now.
One of the many innovations that you've helped create was a new school, Bostonia. Could you tell us a little bit about that and what that means for kids?
Yeah, so when we started with the world of work and modern technology and our TED curriculum, where kids start learning to give TED Talks starting in kindergarten, they would build these amazing skills and aspirations into 8th grade and then go to the high school district. And parents and students would say, what is this? It's this, traditional high school with very low engagement and no focus on any of the things that we were focusing on in elementary, which is why a K-8 district doesn't make sense. You guys are unified. You have the kids from kindergarten all the way through workforce. We don't have that ability. So in 2018, we met with Tom Vander Ark and also Elliot Washer from Big Picture Learning and asked them to help us conceive a high school. If we were to do one, how could we make it so that it continues what we're doing, but also leverages the best research in high school design, high school redesign. And so in 2020, we chartered our first high school and upset the high school district, obviously, because we're taking students from them. But now we have really a K-12 district, and we had our first graduating class last year. And just watching these kids with hopes, specific, vivid hopes about their future and knowing what the next steps are, whether that's to work or to go into a certificate program, or for some to go to four-year university, because that's what's going to be required for their profession. It's exciting.
It is, and it is a new way forward. You're part of probably a growing number of leaders who are not only thinking about school redesign, but redesigning schools. And as you said, you started that, way earlier than 2020, but you opened this amazing school, Bostonia, and which we had a chance to visit. And it's really 100% project-based learning, applied problem solving, a lot of mentoring and internships going on. And if I recall, I think the principal was a kindergarten teacher. So how did that come about, and why did you feel that was important?
Oh, our assistant principal there, Travis, yeah, when I started in the district, he was teaching kindergarten at Flying Hills. And just through mentorship, got him to pursue his admin credential. And he went to be an assistant principal just a few years ago at one of our elementary schools. And we learned that he was actually a community college coach. He coached volleyball and was really good with adult learners. And so it was a natural fit for him to come full circle. And now he's a assistant principal at the high school now. No, he's a principal at the high school now. You're right.
Yeah. I love that, because elementary teachers, and by the way, we're 7 through 12 district, but elementary teachers are teaching all the subjects. They're integrated in their approach to education. I think that's the challenge as you go into high school, junior high and high school. Everybody's kind of siloed, right? Mm-hmm. But to have an administrator who has that in his experience, that the whole elementary school experience, and plus I think the focus on joy and friendships and things that are definitely not measured in junior high and high school. Really a stroke of, I'm sure you've upset a lot of people because you've moved a lot of people's cheese. But obviously you've risen to the top in terms of the national, who's really moving nationally. So I wanted to talk also about this curriculum that you've helped develop called The World of Work. Could you share with the audience what that's all about?
Yeah. When I first started as superintendent, our kids were going on these 2 field trips that predates me. One was in 5th grade to Junior Achievement BizTown. Do your kids go to BizTown, Mike? Do you have Junior Achievement up here?
No, I don't think so.
It's a facility that's a 1-day experience for 5th graders where all year long they work on writing a resume, interviewing skills, and then apply for a job at this place called BizTown, where local San Diego businesses build storefronts. And so they make a mini city basically. And kids get to be professionals something for the day. They could be at Qualcomm, in NBC Studio, San Diego Gas and Electric, Jack in the Box. And the kids light up. It's like this is the best day of my life. They would say it's better than Disneyland, BizTown, that field trip. And they remember it for the rest of their life. The other field trip was in 8th grade. Our kids would go to the Think of It lab, which was on the top floor of a skyscraper in Sorrento Valley at a company called Qualcomm. And it was dubbed as Introduction to Qualcomm's World of Work. And the kids would go there. They would explore their strengths, interests, and values around the RIASEC, which we use now, and then look at all the jobs at Qualcomm, not just engineering, but hey, you're social and artistic. You might work in graphic design or in human resources. Or at Qualcomm, we actually have a culinary program in a kitchen. Maybe you can work there. We have advertising, we have marketing, we have all kinds of different, we have an attorney and legal group here. And so our kids started to see themselves in jobs at Qualcomm. And between that one-day experience at BizTown and Qualcomm at the Think of It lab, they had the best career development in 2 days. But it wasn't scalable. Not all kids could go. And it was a place, it was a destination. So we asked our board, we could take these 2 one-day experiences and build a comprehensive K-12 curriculum using what we've seen at Qualcomm and Junior Achievement, and then expose kids to careers every year starting in kindergarten, building vocational identity so that by the time they get to high school, they can be very intentional about what high school looks like towards career. And we've done that for the last decade now. It's crazy, about 10 years ago. And the curriculum's actually grown legs. We've licensed it and been able to patent it and are now sharing it with other districts all around the country.
You know, I think that's very entrepreneurial, because not only are you changing the experiences and the trajectory for young people, but you're also approaching K-12, this space as an entrepreneur, because you have licensed it and automatically the district gets a cut of that license fee. So it's kudos to you, and it's really pushed our thinking, and I think others thinking about this. What does it mean to redesign and just rethink the whole thing? So it's amazing. Could you go into, you had mentioned RIASEC. A lot of people don't know what that is. Why is that important? What is it?
John Holland created a vocational typology that's RIASEC, and so it's called the RIASEC or the RIASEC. And what it stands for is 6 typology of interest. Realistic is hands-on doers, typically like to be outside in their work. I is investigative, using math and science to solve problems. So doctors, scientists, people that like to work in labs or forensics. A is artistic, and artistic meaning creative self-expression. So an attorney, for example, who has to have a new spin on a case and convince an attorney using creative self-expression, that can be artistic, in addition to the music and the arts, but those that like to create. S is social. Social not meaning I'm the life of the party, but social meaning I like public service. I like helping others. So teachers, nurses, psychologists, hospitality, people that work in human resources. E is enterprising. These are the persuaders. These are the risk takers. These are the rule breakers that you and I might fall into the enterprising category. We're changing things. Dr. Martin Luther King was enterprising and artistic. And then C is conventional, organizing facts, data, and figures, figuring out algorithms, computer scientists, planners, people that work in interior design, very good, sense of space and organization. And so all those typologies on the RIASEC, that's how the government database of jobs at the Department of Labor is organized. That's how most universities categorize their majors. And in almost every workforce board around the country, RIASEC is how they explore interests to help new displaced workers or people from the military come back and find their place in the world of work. So it's made sense. It's time tested, most research based, and it's really easy for kids to pick up the language of career using the RIASEC.
I think that's just another example of pulling from the world of work and what they look for in terms of skills and identifying student talent versus a traditional test score. Because, what you're doing is you're creating a three-dimensional transcript for a kid, adding this layer of skills. I'm going to shift real quick. We only have a few more minutes. I saw your TEDx talk, and you talk about, and you wrote a reflection on that in terms of learning and being inspired, and that kind of inspired you to create TED Talks for kids. And really, it is all about telling your story. So could you just go a little bit deeper into what you're doing to have kids tell their stories?
Yeah, in the beginning of our TED program and TED presentation literacy, we were using their model on how to give an 18-minute TED Talk. What we learned quickly is that some 7 and 8-year-olds don't have enough life experience to give a TED Talk yet, but every kid can tell their story. And when we started to have kids use the presentation literacy to tell their own story to their classmates, we saw relationships improve. Kids are starting to lean into each other because now they know each other a little bit better. They understand their customs, their culture, their religion, why they eat what they eat, different norms and customs. And in a community as diverse as ours, with 40 different languages spoken, helping kids tell their story and understand every other kid's story is powerful in building community. And that's an unintended positive consequence in addition to the ability for kids to deliver a TED-style talk by the time they finish high school with the confidence and eye contact and just personality driven into their communication style.
Well, the time has just flown by, David, and I'm reading your little article here about, you quote President John Adams, and you say, there are two educations. One should teach us how to make a living, and the other how to live. And everything we do at Cajon Valley USD, we aim to provide both. Amazing accomplishments, David. On behalf of our students and their families, thank you so much for the work you do, because you're pushing our thinking as well. Thank you, Dr. David Miyashiro.
Right back at you, Mike. You're pushing us as well. My brother.
All right.
All right.